Are you all ready?
All
In
right. Hello,
three,
everyone. Welcome
two,
to Bangers, Bops,
one,
and Banter. This is
go.
episode number 45.
It's not
I'm one of your
45.
54.
Yeah.
I switched the numbers around in my head. um, we. I'm one of your hosts, Joe. I'm here with my co-host Brendan,
Hi, I'm the co-host Brendan.
and we're here with a guest for this episode.
Hey guys, it's me Jonah again from school.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonah
Or
from
if
school.
you
Let's
quit
go.
school, I mean I might not be able to say that much anymore because I'm out of school now.
Jonah from
Uh,
out of school. Let's go.
You might. Hey, you still might
soon,
know him from school.
oh,
So,
that's true. Soon to be multiple schools going to college.
oh
Um,
boy.
yeah, so just just to keep you on your toes. Yeah, it's good to be back, of
Yeah.
course, as always.
All right. Well, we got. Well, I mean, it won't be that fun of a show. Uh, but you know,
This is
um,
your fault, Joe.
yeah, I know. Oh, look. All right. Okay. Well, first we have some music and movie news. Then we're going to be talking about the question of the week, which is what is a piece of art that is problematic in some way that you still love despite that. Afterwards, we're going to be discussing the album "Joy as an Act of Resistance" by Idols. And then finally, we'll be talking about the movie Come and See, directed by Elem Klimov. Um, I chose Come and See because it's like, Jonah, I know you enjoy war films, and I feel like this is like necessary viewing for war movies.
No, absolutely, yeah.
Um, so yeah. All right. Well, let's get into the news. Um, I, I Halsey has announced a new album.
Let's
All right, I didn't
go.
just I didn't just put this in here because I have like a weird love for certain Halsey songs. Um, is going to be produced by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Okay.
Like actually, I'm excited for this now.
I'm also excited.
Um, so yeah, we'll see what results from that. Um, next in music news, the Recording Academy, aka the Grammys, um, has revealed or has said that it has invited hundreds of new members from traditionally underrepresented groups. They announced that it is extended invitations to 2,710 musicians, music industry professionals to join the 2021 class of new members. Um, it says 55. Okay, that 55% are from traditionally underrepresented groups. All right. I thought it was going to be more than that, but okay.
Yeah. Hey,
That's still good. They're trying, I guess. Shoutouts to when they uh renamed it, they they previously had the category urban contemporary music, which was basically just where they put the black artists. It's just like if you're black, we can't have you clogging up the pop category. You go here.
Of
Um
course, of course.
and everyone's like, why is this sucks, Grammys. And so they fixed it by just renaming the category.
and not changing anything
People, yeah,
else.
they were just people were like, why didn't you get rid of the problem? Wasn't the name, it was the category itself being there.
So, what would they rename it to? Black, like,
Uh,
and
Uh,
top and the
Progressive
grand winner for
R&B,
progressive. Hmm.
which
It's
is
like
a genre. It's not the genre that they put in that category. Ah,
I didn't realize someone's like skin tone could be considered like progressive in and of can you imagine?
oh
Like,
man.
what I mean,
Um,
well, at least the academy or whatever isn't going to look like a fucking sheet of printer paper now. So hopefully we'll see better changes in the future, I guess.
yeah,
I don't know.
hopefully also better album choices.
Yeah.
God,
Figured.
fucking Taylor Swift won over To Pimp a Butterfly.
You
Like,
don't.
Record of the year, baby.
Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, well, listen, I haven't listened to Pimp a Butterfly, though I should. I haven't
You
listened
really
to Taylor.
should.
Yeah, well, I have listened to Taylor Swift, some of Taylor Swift's music, new music, because my sister loves her, and I can, even without listening to Taylor, I can absolutely verify that to Pimp a Butterfly should have won. Like, not. Mm.
You know, the Taylor Swift album that was nominated wasn't a bad album.
Mhm.
It's just like you have one of the most important and interesting rap albums of like all time that came out in 2015, and they were just like, no, we're not gonna give it to you. They've snubbed Kendrick 3 times. He has been nominated for album of the year 3 times, and he's lost all 3, even though he should have won literally all 3. So
It's it. Yeah, it just it's awful. Unless like we're actually like all stupid and like Taylor Swift is just like on a whole other level we can't even like just like over our heads, man.
It's quite
he's
Like,
playing
possible.
5D chess.
yeah, or it's like how like I don't know. I look at it as like maybe like the Eric Andre thing, where it's like if you're just like if you've like just encountered a television for the first time and then you see the Eric Andre show, you're gonna be like, what the hell? Like this is the stupidest shit I've ever like. What's even going on? And then like once you like learn a bit more into like comedy, then I guess you can start to like appreciate it or whatever. And so yes, um, I am implying what you think I'm implying. Taylor Swift is the Eric Andre of the music industry. Next news point.
I didn't realize Taylor Swift shaved her entire body for her newest album.
I wish, man.
Um, all right. Next in music news, some depressing music news. But Blink 182's Mark Hoppus has revealed that he has cancer, which is
Oh,
pretty unfortunate. Um, so you know, I hope he gets better.
me too.
You know, hope he pulls through. And lastly, in music news, there's a new report that's come out specific on the Britney Spears situation. That has shown that she has been trying to get um control of her music back for like the past 7 years at this point. So yeah, this is for those who don't know, basically, Britney Spears's father has had like control over her like entire life, essentially, like her music, her image, like everything. Um, and she has just been trying to like get control back, like desperately. Um, so yeah, it's pretty fucked.
Yep.
So yeah. And then we only have one bit of of movie news this week. But it is specifically that the Oscars are giving out several honorary Oscars to certain actors.
Interesting.
These are like retroactive Oscars, I guess, basically. It's like
Huh.
you deserved this for certain roles. I don't know if it doesn't look like it's for specific roles. Um, but they are being given out to Samuel L. Jackson,
Okay.
who hasn't won an Oscar before this, which seems insane to me. But
Yeah. No, that's correct.
also being given out to Elaine May, Liv Ullmann, and Danny Glover.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, it's pretty.
That makes
Cool.
sense.
Good on you. Good on you, Oscars. You did it.
There's
Progress.
definitely like a lot of directors and actors that deserve to have an Oscar that don't.
Yeah.
So this is their way
You know,
of going
Kubrick
about that.
never. Do you know Kubrick has never won an Oscar?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, he never won one. I can kind of understand that because like I don't
He
know.
doesn't make
You
films
watch
for
a
the
film.
Oscars, you know.
Yeah, I feel like you watch a film like 2001 in 1969, and you're like, what the fuck? Like he's very much a very forward-thinking director in a lot of ways.
Progressive, dare I say.
What was he? I don't know. I don't know. Kubrick. I don't know if Kubrick himself was progressive, but
Hmm.
influential. He did some fucked up stuff. So, um, oh man, this is a good transition to our question of the week.
Ooh.
Uh, so what's some art that you really love that is problematic in some way? Has it can be problems with the artists themselves, like they've done some really messed up things, or it can be problems with the art itself. I mean, I can start.
Yeah, I mean, you're the one who wanted this
Okay.
question, so.
Yeah, go for it.
So, I'm one album that comes to mind is Back in Black by AC/DC. I love that album to death. It has, oh my god, it's so fucking catchy. It's insane. Like man, it's so weird because like the rest of AC/DC's like discography, I think is like fine. It's like decent. And then Back in Black is just like this masterpiece in the middle of everything. It has the songs are so insanely catchy. It's amazing. But also, it's a rock album in the 1980s. Um, and there's one song in particular. Uh, Let me get the lyrics up so I don't mess them up. There's this one part of the song. The song is "Let Me Put My Love Into You." Which pretty much all the songs in this album are either about sex or like drinking, basically. Actually, that's like all of rock in the 80s, but yeah. Um and there's this pre-chorus on the song that's I don't know. It goes, "Don't you struggle, don't you fight, don't you worry, 'cause it's your turn tonight." You know, maybe maybe I remember listening to this album, and I remember listening. I was like re-listening to this album because I loved this album as a kid, and I was re-listening to it, and I was like, oh my god, this song's so good. And then I like just focused on the lyrics for a second, and I heard this, and I was like, what the fuck? It's so it's just, oh man,
It's
I don't know about this. I think like I can't really defend it at all. I'm thinking like it's the 80s, and it's like implied that like she wants to, but it's kind of like she's playing hard to get or something like that. But like that's not.
yeah, or she's like giving in to like her desires or something. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I mean, by today's standards, that's not. No.
no, yeah,
Yeah, no.
nope.
I don't even know if that's okay by the 1980s standards, to be honest.
It's just not okay. It's just
Yeah. I still love this record, but man, there's some lines that are really questionable. Um, I also want to give a shout out to The Shining, which I love, incredible horror film. But Kubrick like really abused Shelley Duvall on set. There's one scene where she in the movie where she's like hysterical, and she's like actually hysterical. Like Kubrick literally pushed her to like become hysterical during the scene,
Jesus.
and like abused her and stuff. Like not like that's pretty messed up.
Yeah, it's fucked.
But yeah.
Mm.
So there you go.
Okay. Interesting.
It's
Do you have any you wanna say?
this is it's just like pieces of art in general? Or?
Yeah, it could be any piece of art. You know.
Okay. I'm kind of ashamed to admit it, but like I kind of have like a soft spot for like shitty like Call of Duty campaigns. You know, I just
They
think that,
were really
honestly,
fun.
okay, well, so like I think just from like a technical standpoint, like all the work that goes into it and the pacing, I think is really cool. And I really
I don't think
appreciate.
that much work goes into
But
the campaign, though.
well,
Like,
no, it doesn't go into the
It
campaign,
depends
but
on the
like most of the
game.
work in the COD game is on the multiplayer, definitely.
yeah, absolutely. Well, but I mean that's a whole other thing. But I just think it's neat. You know, I like it.
Yeah.
But the thing with that is that it's all like just kind of blatant, like in pro like imperialist like propaganda, whitewashing.
It,
You know, like especially with like the new Modern Warfare or whatever.
there was,
Um,
yeah. What
it's like
it,
the what? Yep.
it was the newest Modern Warfare, right? Where, um, they're like you're fighting the Russians or something, and there is a scene in it where they like bomb like a highway basically, or
Yeah,
I
the
don't know
Highway
if
of
they,
Death.
yeah, Highway of Death.
Yeah, Highway of Death.
And that's really fucked up because that's like America did that.
Exactly.
Literally,
Yeah.
it was us that did that during the Gulf War.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's like yeah. Well, I remember playing it. It was like you know the woman is like yeah you know the Russians you know did this as people trying to flee the city and it's so fucked up. And also this is the level the level of the campaign with the sniper with the sniper rifle. This is the sniping mission because we have to have one of those. But also, Highway of Death is pretty bad, and the Russians did it.
mm,
I think all like yeah, um, yeah. So I guess that I'd have to say that I think it kind of pales into the comparison to like to what you brought up, Joe. Uh, like it, what am I supposed to do? Uh, uh,
it's fine.
yeah, anything for you, Brendan?
Yeah. I just have a couple I want to highlight. The first one, kind of fun. Just Headstrong by Trapped. Fucking love
Oh my
Headstrong. Fuck Trapped. We've been following Trapped very
god,
closely on the podcast. And oh my
they
god.
are incredible. I love them. Their lead singer, who I'm pretty sure was kicked out of the band
Yeah,
because of this, is like he's a shithead. He's a like, oh my god.
absolute shit. Oh, but Shadow Work
During
by Trapped, top 10 album maybe of all
top
time.
five
Top five.
maybe album of all time, maybe according to Trapp's Twitter. But yeah, for those who don't know, the lead guy for Trapped, like when the George Floyd protests were happening, he like denied that racism existed, basically. Um, and he did like some other stuff that was like really bad that I forget.
uh,
Um, basically just like a MAGA shithead.
Uh, Dick.
Yeah.
I guess another one, which is like a bit sadder to me, is Mark Kozelek, also known as Sun Kil
Yeah.
Moon. Dude has made some great music. Did not know he did the things he did. He raped
It,
people. So yeah,
yeah.
Why is it always fucking rape with all these fucking these like what why like how do all these people like
when you have power and fame, it's very easy to coerce someone into sexual activities.
I thought you were gonna say it's like once you kind of like you're raised on such a high pedestal you can like you kind of warps your perception of other people, you know, or something like that, or you want more and more. I was gonna say it's like the fucking Epstein thing, where it's like if you're like a trillionaire, right? You have everything, and you're on such a high pedestal, and like you just like you keep on going, and you end up doing all these awful things, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think to some extent it's like to me, it's like about control and just having the ability to like control other people essentially because of your position.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of people like give into that. Um,
Yeah, well, I think that's the whole point of like rape. It's not like I need to get off, so I'm gonna do this horrible thing. It's all about control. It's like it's after like what in war, whenever like you like liberate a city or conquer a city, there's always like all this awful war crime, rape stuff that follows because it's about like asserting control.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm. And
but
then
and of course in a communist society, this wouldn't be an issue. Yeah.
yeah, and then I guess one final one is The Sandlot. I love The Sandlot. It's like a childhood movie for me. Grew up watching The Sandlot. There is very much that one scene where a kid sexually assaults a woman. But it was the 90s.
Yeah, there are a lot. There are a lot of there are a lot of old like '80s movies that just have like casual like sexual assault
Yeah,
in it.
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah,
it was
Oh my
funny back
God.
then. It was
it
funny.
was it's
It
it's
was yeah.
hilarious.
It was
It makes me
both.
laugh.
I think it was just like normal,
It was,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I guess one last one I want to say is Brand New, which I'm gonna be doing a deep dive on soon. But it's the way. I don't want to like say too much because I'm going to go into like a ton of detail in
Mhm.
the deep dive. But the way that like the allegations against their frontman like changes my like perception of the record is really interesting because the record, or specifically the record The Devil and God Are Raging Inside Me, is like it's an album where the frontman is basically like, I'm a fucking monster, like I'm a horrible person, and like him like trying to figure out how he can like ever be forgiven for what he's done.
Wow.
Basically, it's a really interesting record. I'm gonna go into way more detail in the deep dive, but yeah.
Interesting.
Cool. Uh, I think we
Yeah.
have some highlights from some other people on the server.
Yeah.
One someone says Pinkerton by Weezer, which is
That's actually that's fair.
it's
It's a
very
very
fair.
I love Pinkerton to death because it's like it is basically it's an incel album, honestly.
It is.
Um Apparently, if I remember correctly, Rivers Cuomo went from sleeping with like 24 different women or something while on tour for Blue Album to like nothing. And it's just him like venting his frustrations about not being able to get laid or go out with people. And it's like really interesting. Um because it's so like it's almost like whiny in a way and self-entitled. And that makes it super interesting. Um but yeah, I love Pinkerton.
We also have a Christmas story, which we talked about on this podcast before. Oh man, the
Yeah.
ending to that film is something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Refresh your memory.
They
I don't remember.
they go to a Chinese restaurant on Christmas, and
They have a duck, I believe.
yeah, they get served a
And it's
whole duck.
and it's just a whole duck. And there's also like the people have like really racist accents.
Oh yeah,
It's really Christmas Story is interesting because it is um a movie from the 80s that is based on a novel written in the 60s that is about the 40s
yeah.
or growing up in the 40s. So it's just like you're so removed from the 80s already. I mean, I guess. Well, I mean, I don't know. I have to say, well, I want to say it's interesting that 80s movies, I feel like, don't have as much like casual racism as like 2000s comedies do, which I think is impressive. 2000s comedies are like they have some of the most like racist shit and like racist and sexist and all the other ists
Mm-hmm.
are just
2000s
in
comedies
2000
really
comedies.
stepped up the bar.
Yeah.
Like that stuff is like
Um,
present in 80s and 90s comedies, but like 2000s just like ran with it.
yeah. That's like everything. Man.
Yeah.
Some other responses. We have humans.
Humans
I think
is
that's problematic in a different way, as in the album is bad.
It's just bad. Also,
Um,
Vince Staples says the N-word on a Gorillaz album. # not my Gorillaz.
Hey, context. Because, well, actually, no, humans is bad, so,
No, I do like Ascension.
Ascension's a great track.
Ascension is great.
One of the few great tracks on the album.
I kind of like Saturn Bars, to be honest.
I
I think
enjoy
it's
Saturn's
catchy.
bars. It is
I
pretty
haven't,
catchy.
I mean, I haven't even listened to the whole album, to be honest.
And,
People,
you don't have to.
You really
yeah,
don't
people
have
keep on
to.
saying it sucks. Like, I want to listen to it just because, like, I like Gorillaz. I just want to like know their discography better.
Check it
but, like,
out.
I guess,
mean, some Gorillaz fans enjoy it. Joe and I don't enjoy it. There are other people that do. If you wanna talk to Mike, he'll hype it up for you. He'd be like,
really.
and by
Yeah.
hype it up, I mean he'll be like, it's not that bad, guys.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
Yeah. And we have another response, which is "Confessions of a Dangerous Mind" by Logic.
This is so good.
It's interesting because it is like it's a bad album, and
Yes.
I know Wesley, who posted it, knows it's a bad album. He just loves it.
Wesley
But
listens to it so much.
It is genuinely like there's problematic shit on it. There's one part on the album where Logic is like, "I wish I was bipolar like Kanye so I could make good music," basically.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, bro.
just
That's not.
Yeah, is that the album that has the where it's the chorus of it is like ass, pussy, money, weed, over and over again, or something like that.
I don't even remember.
It's
I
like the
don't
chorus
think
is like,
so.
oh,
Maybe, but I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the track with the Eminem.
And then Eminem
Yeah,
gotta
where
let
they rap fast.
rap. Ooh,
Well, what about
he
the
do
track
rap
with Will
fast
Smith?
though. He also hit
Damn.
his mom. Wants to kill her. Hasn't stopped talking about how he wants to kill his mom for like 30 years.
Oh, I mean, he's
Yeah.
stopped now for
Oh.
sure. I don't think anything in his recent work has mentioned that.
Yeah.
I feel like Eminem's sort of a good choice actually,
I mean,
because like Eminem's interesting because he did have like, actually, it's really interesting. Rap music, there's a lot of like homophobic rap music.
Yeah.
DMX, I remember very vividly, has some like really homophobic bars, which, oof.
There's like an unreleased Tribe Called Quest song, I think, which is like really bad too.
Yeah. There's individual Eminem, I don't think was ever really very explicit with it. There is one bar. It's kind of weird because there are rap artists where like technically like what they're saying is like homophobic, isn't that in that it's like insensitive sort of,
Mhm.
but that what they're saying isn't like like really bad. There's one bar I remember where Eminem is like he's like, I don't see the problem. I don't see why like a man and another man can't elope or something along those lines. But then like the next bar, or he's saying like, I don't see why we can't have gay marriage. But then in the next bar, he's like, but I think I have the antidote or something like that. And then he says, "Women, wave your pantyhose." So it's like it is like homophobic, but he's also like, why the fuck can't gay marriage be a thing? Um, there's also, or actually, you go. Sorry, were you gonna say something? Or
Me?
yes, I thought
Oh,
you said. I thought you
no,
were
I
about to say
was,
something.
I was gonna say maybe it's like with the gay marriage thing. It was kind of like was the fucking like the dumb like the Shrek themed weddings, right? Or it's like, yeah, it's okay to do it, but it's still like you know, like it should be illegal. But what the fuck?
I don't
What the
think
hell?
that's really what he was saying.
Yeah, I don't think what it was saying either, but I kind of
Oh,
want to remind our audience that like it's a real thing that at least one couple has done,
the
and
Shrek wedding.
yeah, Shrek wedding, and you can look it up right now
um,
as you're listening, and just look at
Here,
it, man.
I'm gonna get the line up.
Hmm.
Which is it? It's off
While
of.
we're bringing up things that are slightly tangential, I want to bring up
Hmm.
that one time where Young Thug admitted to wanting to fuck his aunt on a Knob album.
So funny.
It's so funny.
Funniest. Oh my god! There's the genius comment that's just like, "What the fuck, Thug?" He is literally like the line is literally, "I used to want to fuck my auntie." Like that's literally like on an album.
But he used to. It's like he's reformed. It's character growth.
It's the okay.
He was down bad, so to speak.
Here, let me get the exact lineup from Eminem. Where is it? Yeah. But if we can hump dead animals and antelopes, uh, then there's no reason that a man and another man can't elope. But this is like, uh, I don't know, like sort of. I think he's more just making a comment that like, uh, from previous bars, he's like, we show people like really like gruesome shit on TV, so why are you so like uptight about stuff like gay marriage?
Hmm.
I think is kind of the point he's making here.
Hmm.
Um,
Doesn't mean. All right.
it's like sort of it's like insensitive, but I don't think he's being like outwardly homophobic. There's also a Nas bar off of Illmatic that is he uses the F slur on it, but it's like completely not homophobic. It's just for like the rhyme, basically. Um, I believe it's he's like what is it? I s- he's like I switch styles like a F slur. Like he like he's saying like he's switching up his flow and he just uses that as an example basically of how he can do that. So it's like he's using the slur, but it's like not derogatory at all. So I don't know. Rap music has a lot of stuff like this. Um, general like homophobic sentiment is in a lot of songs, unfortunately. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyways, let's move on to the very. Oh wait, no question for next week.
Yeah.
I had
Question
such a
next
good
week.
transition.
Oh man. Here. Um, here's one I've been thinking about a little. What's the best album cover of all time?
Ooh,
Ooh.
I have one in mind that I like love. Um, that
there's
like
some
is it
really good
now?
ones.
There's some really good album covers. Um, so yeah.
Yeah.
What's the best album cover of all time?
Leave your
Yeah.
answer down in the
Yeah.
comments below, or in the server or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on to a not homophobic album. Joy as an act
Pretty.
of resistance. What?
Yeah. pretty very not homophobic. You know,
Yeah.
he's gonna beat
Kind of
up
the opposite.
homophobes.
Yeah, it doesn't like.
He puts homophobes in coffins.
Yeah.
Isn't there a line where he's like, "I kissed a boy and I liked it"?
Yep. Just
Yeah.
actually, I mean, it's a reference to Katy Perry, but
Well, I know that too, but I don't think he's like queer baiting on this one. He definitely kissed a man. He kissed a man,
I actually know.
and
Yeah.
he took pleasure in it. What else would he
Probably.
fucking say it? Oh, unless he's. Never mind. Just
Well, I mean, I honestly like part of that lie or him saying that is like the Katy Perry song "I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It" is sort of like it uses the idea of like being like gay or bi in like a very like I guess male appealing way.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like a fetish.
Yeah, it's kind of like a fetish. Like, ooh, she'll go both ways. Um, Whereas like whenever that's applied to men, it's always like, or at least it used to be like generally, received with like disgust. In some way, I feel like generally that like men being gay has been less accepted than women being gay, just because um like for whatever because of our society as a whole, men are a lot more fragile about their sexualities.
Yeah,
So if like someone insinuates that they're gay or whatever, some men will get like very defensive and often aggressive
Also,
at the suggestion.
oh, absolutely. Yeah,
or thought.
it was like a legal defense if you
Yeah.
killed someone, like, or if the lady you were hitting on turned out to have a dick, you were just like allowed to kill, like, just like murder them and get away and just like be like, yeah.
I also want to
Um,
say a lot of it, at least in general, is that men find lesbians more attractive than women find gays. Because, like,
yeah.
lesbians
Yeah.
are fetishized. Gay couples are fetishized more nowadays, but still.
Yeah. Well, I think progress.
Woohoo!
Yeah. Well,
We're doing it.
I think it's definitely like totally like an objectification thing where it's like women are like, yeah, and then I think maybe women like our viewers our not no 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 not not no, 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 not me, society's view of women is like you're an object, be
Yeah.
hot, and then women are like to bet like not as much, but still like a little bit yes with the yeah. Especially like if you like the yaoi fandom or whatever, I'm fucking looking at you. Like stop, cut it out.
No, they're so
Stop
good.
it. Stop it.
I love yaoi. Oh, so
Don't
funny.
no. Stop. Yeah, you can either announce or announce your support for or denounce the yaoi fandom in the comments below. Hey, weren't we talking about like an album or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Joy's an Act of Resistance is Idol's 2018 record. This is like a post-punk revival record. That's pretty political in nature.
Pretty much all of Idol's music is very political, so.
Yeah. And yeah, I think I mean personally I think this is just a really fantastic fun rock record that I think more people should check out. I mean, it's already like pretty well received in the underground. But definitely I think it's a really great record. So, what did everyone think? I already know what Brendan thinks. He also loves this record. So,
I guess you want me to say my thoughts on it?
Yeah.
I thought it was neat. It's like I think just like it's the genre just isn't really my thing personally.
Okay.
I also again I haven't like I've listened to. I've listened to the album, once or twice over, just to get really get a feel for it. But I feel like I haven't listened to the genre enough because a lot of the songs just kind of started to bleed together.
Mm.
You know, it just it sounded kind of samey.
Mm. All
Uh,
right.
I, I don't know. I don't know if that's what you were the criticism or praise you were looking for. I can tell though that it isn't really my thing. That
Mm.
there's something there's something good there. You know,
Mm.
I could tell that it was especially the second and third listen over, I was kind of starting, hey, I'm starting to pick up on some stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was neat.
Yeah.
That's really interesting, actually.
I kind of figured this would be up your alley, considering the previous two records you suggested were like rock and metal.
Mm.
That's interesting.
It is very interesting. Also, I don't know. Personally, I find a lot of this album to be pretty distinct from each other.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not really a song on here that I think sounds generic.
Yeah.
And there's very very good hooks, or just the way the instrumentation works out. Like, I can't say I've really heard another song that sounds just like Colossus, the opener, which
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
very slow builds, the
Yeah.
beginning, and then just
Sort of.
explodes.
Yeah. It sort of. Well, I feel like their follow up to this reminds me more so, but it kind of reminds me of some Swans stuff,
Mm-hmm.
just not as like slow and methodical, like a lot more punky.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, but yeah. Do we just want to? Do we just want to dive in?
I mean, yeah,
Go
Joe and I,
track by
you and
track.
I can just gush about this album.
Yeah,
Um,
you two go.
yeah. So the album starts off with Colossus, which is just like the way that the song builds is like fantastic. It's like it's not like super slow, but it just has this like tension that keeps building and building and building until it finally just like gets cut at the very end. Um, and it's really fantastic. I think this is a fantastic start to the record. It's really explosive. Uh, I love how I would call like the guitar tones on this record or the guitar sound to be like kind of feels very rich. Um, like there's just so much like texture to the instrumentation that I really love. Yeah,
Definitely. Like, the guitars are very very full sounding,
yeah,
and that works out, especially Colossus. During that build, you have that errant guitar tone every so often. It really helps to build
mm,
and serve as um it helps to accentuate the build of the mounting pressures and anger and all these
Mm.
emotions being
yeah,
expressed.
yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I just got to. I just found something that was relevant to what we were talking about earlier, um, in the Muse channel, uh, from TJ TJX6 robbed my little cousin because I found out he bisexual. Uh,
Oh man, there's so I love those. You know those videos that are just like bars that sound like shit posts. Like that, those videos are so good. Um, but yeah,
yeah, but back to what you guys were
yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about.
I especially love that. I feel like I love this record if that because or one of the reasons I really love this record is because it feels very like playful.
Mm.
Um, like it's definitely like angry and pent up, but the way that that's expressed is sort of like sarcastic, and just like it's clear that they're having fun in with these like criticisms of our culture.
Yeah,
Um,
it totally like bleeds into the title, joy as an act of resistance, right? Like, so
yeah,
it's punk, it's kind of like punky. You're kind of like you're defying something, but clearly it's still like kind of upbeat.
yeah, it's
they're
very
having fun with
positive.
it. Yeah, it's yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I especially love the like final verse on Colossus, um, where he's like comparing himself to these like various people essentially. So he's like, I'm like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I put homophobes in coffins. Um, I'm like Evil Knievel. I break bones for my people. Love that one.
Yeah,
Um,
that's one thing that stood out to me is like the rhyming.
yeah,
Yeah, it's like silly.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I especially love the end where he says, "I'm like Reggie Cray." Um, who where who said quote, I've got nothing to say, is like a
Yeah.
um like a famous quote from him. Um, so like the song just cutting when he says that is pretty great.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, one of the most, uh, one of my favorite times where that playful energy is brought up is on television. Personally, I don't
Yeah.
know if you wanted to go in order, we can go in order. But
We can do whatever.
okay, cool. But the hook on that song, I go outside and I feel free because I smash mirrors and fuck TV. Or no, yeah, I fuck
Yeah.
mirrors and smash TV. No, wait,
No,
no,
I
smash mirrors,
smash
fuck
mirrors
TV.
and fuck TV. They're
Exactly,
like the fuck TV is not like literal. The way he's delivers it is just like it can go fuck itself.
exactly.
Um,
But just like that idea of
yeah,
that resistance and just having fun, smashing shit up, fucking TV, sticking your dick in a television, um,
mm,
television being about the song itself being about unrealistic standards like poor portrayed in our society and how
yeah,
we devalue ourselves based on those standards when
yeah,
we have no right to, we have no reason to.
yeah. Um, I also like the playful energy. I also love on "Never Fight a Man with a Perm."
Yes.
Just so.
Uh, I love
Um,
I love the name of that. I, I'd actually argue. I'd argue against that. I'd say that you should try and fight every perm wearing man that you meet.
You heard it here, folks. First, we endorse perm fighting.
yeah. Um, but like the entire track is just like about like this like performative masculinity that people put on how they like to try to act like tough and to like fight people and stuff, and how it's just like it's bullshit basically. um and that these people aren't actually that tough. Like he'll fuck them up basically is what he's saying. um
Yes.
and also there's a ton of oh my god, i I hadn't heard realized this line before, but the "you look like you're from Love Island" is fucking savage. Oh my gosh. Um, which Love Island is like a British like dating reality show, and most of the contestants on it are not shown to be particularly smart.
Mm.
Um, um oh man, like lines like uh your one big neck with sausage hands, and even your haircut's violent. Just, oh man.
Great imagery.
Yeah.
It feels almost like like a roast or something, or like you're maybe like two like poets in medieval times, or like throwing quips, throwing comments back at each other, like roasting each other, and it's like right out of that, you know.
Yeah. Um. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love also the track "I'm Scum," the follow up to that song, which is just like it's like an embrace of kind of the stereotype of like minimum wage, like low class workers, um and just like it's an embrace of that and
Mm.
that idea. um I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I
It's
mean,
cool.
very very catchy chorus on that track.
Yeah.
The just yelling "I'm scum" and then na 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 na. Hey, hey,
Yeah.
whatever.
um Also, oh my god, there's so many like amazing lines on this record, but I don't care about the next James Bond. He kills for country, queen, and God. We don't need another murderous talk. Just like, man,
Jeez.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
just like it's very much like just a rejection of like Britain's kind of like high class perception. I feel like that's a very like Western perception, where like if you don't live in Britain, you think of Britain as being like civilized, um, and, like fancy, and it's just kind of like, yeah, nah, no, we're not that at all. Um, yeah,
yeah. Uh,
yeah.
for me, Danny Nadelko next track is like my
Mm.
personal favorite. Um, I don't know. This track is like super catchy. Great guitars on it. There's the bridge where they spell out Danny Nadelko community. So fuck you, and it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It's fun. Also, Danny Nadelko is about I guess like immigration and how people are opposed to foreigners in a broad
Yeah,
sense.
it's about how these people are like alienated because people are afraid of them, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, the chorus uh goes, "Fear leads to panic, panic leads to pain, pain leads to anger, and anger leads to hate." It's just like the fear that people have around immigrants, ultimately um leads them to hate them for like basically no reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
um yeah. Panic.
Joe's jamming
um
along to the album.
I'm jamming.
Jamming.
um
Jimmy jamming.
yeah.
Oh. Yeah, we're gonna skip. Actually, I don't know. There's just like a
I
few things.
lo-
Hmm?
I love song. I really love specifically the guitar work on it. You have like these sharp, like it's like it's hard to describe. These like piercing guitar chords in the middle of these like almost whining, low tuned like bass guitar sounds. I really love the sound of this track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
June makes me cry.
June is very depressing.
It's also June. I feel is just like weird in the track list. Um,
Yeah.
it's very tonally different from like everything else.
Um, yeah. And I guess despite that, it's a very like it's still an incredibly depressing track. Which is about uh his daughter who was a stillborn.
Oh.
Um, just like Oh fuck, man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Um,
Oof, this track
this track
cuts
is
deep.
rough.
Yeah, man. Uh yeah, it's a very simple track, especially with a lot of the lyrics, but they're just so well put that man, it's really impactful, especially the end of the song where he just repeats the phrase baby shoes for sale, never worn, just over and over again. Oh man. Ooh,
Uh, yeah, very, very rough feeling.
yeah.
Um, kind of just get like thrown right back into the action though, with like the rest of the record.
Yeah. Um Samaritans I love. Um this is just essentially about I mean I guess it's just about toxic masculinity and the
Yeah.
way that he is or men are expected to act in certain ways that lead to them being emotionally cut off from other people. Um, I especially love the pre-chorus on this track. The mask of masculinity is a mask that's wearing me.
Mm.
Um,
I think
just
that
like
is like a little on the nose for me personally, but like it works.
it's on the nose, but I guess I feel like the second line is a mask that's wearing me. Like that to me kind of has like double meaning almost because it's both the mask is both like wearing him as in he's like being forced to act in these ways because of um our society and how uh we approach I guess men in general. But also like if you interpret it as wearing as in like it's wearing him down, it's
Mm.
like it's like taking away from him. Like he's tired.
Mm-hmm.
He's sick of not being able to like express himself properly.
Mm.
So yeah,
Yeah.
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 Um, we already talked about television. We got a track great. I love the intro where he tells people to listen to more jungle. You should. Jungle music is good.
Right here.
That's good.
Um, but
These like three tracks, Great, Graham Rock, and Cry to Me, are all like pretty short and they go by pretty quickly. And
yeah,
I think if there were tracks to blend together, I could see this is where you could run into that issue.
yeah,
Uh,
definitely.
but I don't know. I really like Graham Rock and Cry to Me. Uh,
Yeah.
Graham Rock really fun. The bada bada bing, you know. Hey,
Yeah.
uh, and Cry
Um,
to Me.
I want to say great specifically is basically about Brexit mostly,
Yep.
and how he's just like, hey, if you want to do this, okay, but don't fucking cry when things get worse.
You idiots.
Yeah, basically. Um, but yeah. Oh, uh,
Yeah.
we also get uh, we also have the very final track, Rottweiler. Um, which I will admit, I feel like the end of this album is definitely a lot weaker than the beginning. Um, but I still really enjoy these tracks. think Rottweiler is just like it's a solid end to the record. It's kind of just like it's basically like don't give up. Essentially, I'd say is the main idea of the song. Is like, you know, all of these things are, uh, weighing him down and uh, trying to like get to him, but ultimately you gotta keep going. You know, gotta go through it. You gotta fucking destroy him.
Take him out.
Destroy the world, as he says.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Rottweiler always kind of came off weird to me. Like I definitely wish that the album had ended on a stronger and more final note rather than Rottweiler, which just kind of comes off odd. I think it just doesn't work for me. Understandable if you do like it though, but not my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joe and I like this album.
Yeah. Jonah, do you have any more thoughts?
I'm head empty over here.
Nice.
I think the album's good. It's just like not my cup of tea, personally. As far as I'm pretty sure, as far as like rock music goes, I've very specific about what I like. Yeah.
Dang, we were trying to expose you to more stuff, so
and you failed.
we failed.
I'm gonna go back to my cave, filled with just like 4 Metallica songs, and that's it.
Nice. Yeah, I guess we can do some scores. Y'all,
Yeah.
Scores, oh boy. I guess I'll go first. I love this album. I think it's amazing. It's one of my favorite like punk albums of all time. Just a really fantastic, fun record. It's really interesting. I think it's both really interesting lyrically and also musically. So yeah, I'd give this album like a 9.5 out of 10. Fantastic.
yeah, I'm in a pretty similar boat. There's a lot to love on this album. A lot of great guitar work, a lot of great lyrics, hooks, etc. That I do have a couple problems with it, but most of those are, nitpicks. Although there are a fair number of nitpicks I have. Overall, I'm at like a 9 out of 10 on this album. Yeah. Pressure's on, Jonah.
I fuck it, man. 9.5 out of 10.
Let's go.
Great. I just you win.
Well, you can say what.
No, you can say what you actually feel. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's like a solid like 5.
Okay.
Damn. All right.
I mean, it felt like the more I listened to it, the more I liked it. So I guess get back to you on that one. I don't know.
All right. But what if the Metallica made this album?
Well, then it would make it good.
Oh shit.
See, so I like.
As we all know, Metallica has only released good albums.
Oh yeah, only. Well, I like that. Well, when Metallica does like political commentary, they just yell into the microphone. As seals of red, full of red tape seals your lips. Now you're done, and you're like, yeah. That's about censorship. I don't have to listen to some English guy yell like "baby shoes for sale, never worn" 8 times into the microphone. Like there's only so much I can process,
I like how when you're talking about political commentary, you chose some of the few lines on this album which are not political commentary.
I know it was the first thing. It was the first thing I thought of.
Oh,
All right.
all right.
Yeah.
Well,
I guess we can get to talking about something not political.
No, not political at all.
definitely not political. So the movie for this week was Come and See, directed by Elem Klimov. It's a Russian anti-war film. Um, that is about the Belarusian genocide. And yeah, so fun experience.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
I don't even like know what to say. I mean, well, I do know what I'm gonna say, but it's like it's so like intense that like when you first like get at like watch it, you're kind of almost like at a loss for words.
Yeah.
Just it, I don't know where to begin really. Um,
Um, I guess I'll start it off with like a little bit of background. So, Elem Klimov was trying to get this made for like 10 years or so, I think. Uh, yeah, so work on the film began. Okay, so it's like 8 years. Work on the film began in 1977. Uh, they had a script that just wasn't being approved by the Soviet censors for a long time. Um, and I eventually they got it to where they could just make the movie the way they wanted it to. The only thing that they required them to do is change the name. Um, and they changed it from the original title was Kill Hitler, and they changed it to Come and See, which I'm actually very glad they did. I think Come and See is a much better name. Um, the origins of Kill Hitler are actually really interesting too. Or not Kill Hitler, Come and See. It is from a from a Bible
Yeah, it's from the Book of
verse.
Revelation.
Yes, it's basically about the four horsemen of the apocalypse. It's chapter 6, verses 7 to 8. Um, which says, "And when he opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, 'Come and see.' And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth."
mm,
Pretty relevant,
Yep.
I'd say. Um, and I guess I love just the name of the film. Come and See. This is a very angry movie, I'd say. It is very angry at what happened. Um, and I like the title is just like it's like daring you almost. It's like here's what fucking happened. Come look. Come
mm,
see what they fucking did to us. Basically.
yeah,
Um, and man,
yeah. I mean, I guess like spoiler warning, but like
y-
just like Russians like in like these like Russian like or the Slavic peasants getting like just like slaughtered. It's like it's so like it's so disturbing,
yeah,
and it goes on for so long, and it's so awful. And it knows that you're there to you're sitting down to watch the movie, and you're gonna sit and you're gonna watch all of this awful stuff, like fucking like series of unfortunate events, one after another. You know,
yeah.
um, yeah,
I
I yeah.
or no, you go. You finish. Sorry.
It actually it got me thinking well, I got to thinking about what our kind of our conversation before we started recording. Like, is it possible to make like an anti or like a is it possible to make an anti-war film? Um, which it's based off of like, oh, if you're portraying combat, um,
Yeah.
then it's I guess you're kind of like you're making it exciting,
You.
which this like totally does not do, it
Yeah.
like at all. When the characters are getting like shot at, you can't even really see who's shooting.
Yeah.
And there's never
It's
any
not an action
exchange of
film.
gunfire.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
By the way, those scenes where they're shooting, those are real bullets.
It's a real bullets. They killed a real
They.
cow.
Yeah. The cow was actually killed.
Yes.
Jeez.
For
That
that
made me
scene.
sad, honestly. I was so
Yeah.
sad for the cow. And also, I think he does
Um.
step on real bird eggs in that
Oh,
one
he
scene.
totally does.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
no way he doesn't.
Um. Also, I believe I watched like an interview with the um, lead actor on it, who's like, yeah, the bullets at some points like literally passed like 4 inches over their heads. They were really close to them. Um, it's yeah, this film is terrifying. I want to say it's just like it's genuinely horrifying. Um,
Hmm.
I want to also mention that the director, or part of the reason why the director wanted to make this film uh, was because he was actually when Stalingrad was like burned to the ground, he was there uh,
Wow.
in World War II, and he escaped on a boat with his family. Um,
Wow.
I was watching an interview and he was talking about how like literally Stalingrad was like a city that was basically like all along like the river bank, just like really long, um, and like spread out, and just like the entire thing was on fire, and also like the river was on fire because they had bombed a petrol station that had spilled into the river.
Yeah,
Um,
it's I think like especially when we think about like the time that this takes place, we're so fixated on like the kind of like the American side of things, and the
yeah,
British, like we lose track of like that, like on the for the Russian part of it is just like it's the like the it's like the death and like the suffering is on a it's you can't even like comprehend it,
yeah,
like an entire city just like destroyed, or entire cities where I think it was the siege of Stalingrad, or it might have been Leningrad. I can't remember, but like an entire city like starved and resorted to to cannibalism. It's just it, and again like these the even it says in the film itself, like it gives like statistic 600 and something, like Belarusian villages burned, their inhabitants. It just like it boggles the mind, you know. And I think it's it's all it's all in Russian, I think it's kind of meant for that audience. But from like I guess from like a Western perspective, it's the title takes on a new meaning. Like come and see this other side of the world or of the war, you know.
yeah,
It yeah.
definitely. I guess appreciate that about it. It feels like the only other film or war film that I've seen about like the Russian perspective in the war is The Ascent, which
Mm.
another fantastic war film, also very depressing, not quite as disturbing, but still very rough to get through. Um, and like that, I think just in general, like they're for American audiences, we just none of like the popular war films are about that perspective. I
Mm.
guarantee you, like most Americans probably don't even know that this happened. Um, because we just don't think about it. You only think about the Western side, and you like sort of hear about the Russians and how like they'd like throw men at the German army, uh, and just you hear like I guess the death toll usually, which I think for the Russians is like 20 million. It's
Yeah,
insane.
it's insane.
Yeah.
I know like a family friend who was visiting us, and he had kind of been in the area, Eastern Europe, and he said because they're looking at like old World War II stuff, and they get to like they came to like a graveyard, you know, and he described what he saw to me, this World War II kind of memorial graveyard thing, of just like a field of like graves or crosses, and just like stretching out to the horizon, like literally as far you can see, just like graves. Like it doesn't it again like I said before, it doesn't even like doesn't even like compute
Yeah.
even.
Um, I want to say that so the Soviet Union, all deaths from military, or military deaths from all causes for the Soviet Union, uh, are anywhere from like 8.5 million to 11.5 million. That's not including people who weren't military
There are a lot
civilians.
of civilian deaths as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
And that's compared to the U.S., we lost 400,000. It's just like the scale isn't even like comparable. Um, the total Soviet Union like deaths are estimated to be 27 million. So it's just like unfathomable. Um, so yeah.
It, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how much more we can say. Like, it, just like watch it. You know,
Um,
it's intense. Uh, I do think it's it's just some more thoughts on it. Um, I think there's a little touch at the end towards the end of the scene where you have the remaining German soldiers under the bridge, kind of like that are about to get like executed by the Soviet partisans,
yeah,
the rebels, and they're translating back and forth, and they're talking, and then one of the SS guys says like something about like the communist plague spreads amongst the inferior races. I think that's the
yeah,
word he used. I thought that was interesting because it was almost like it's like a last tidbit, because the end of this film is a very strong like anti-fascist message, anti-war message, but just at the very end, I felt like that was almost like you have the bad guy denouncing like communism, so in its a way, it's kind of like it's like a tad pro communist propaganda ish.
I wouldn't
I'm not sure
so
what to make of it.
I wouldn't say
Um,
it's communist propaganda or anything. One of I mean, I get people don't like talk about it, but like the first people who were put into concentration camps were communists
yeah,
in World War II.
mhm,
And with Hitler's push into Russia, it was specifically a crusade against communism for them.
mhm,
Yeah.
Um, so him, uh, you know, denouncing communism at that point is very much in line with the
mhm.
Nazi ideology.
Absolutely. Um, yeah, I think in that it also comes to mind the cultural Bolshevism conspiracy theory,
It's
um,
yeah,
which again it's like the subversive, like communist Bolshevik Jewish thing, kind of just kind of again it's all like made up nonsense, Like but it's like the people were like in on it. You're not in on it, but they were like in it. They like believed it.
Yeah.
Like they drank the Kool-Aid, so to speak. And then so when you're marching into the Soviet Union, you're like, yeah, I'm fighting an enemy that deserves to be fought.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, yeah, I think that's all I really have to say. Just like watch it, man.
Um. Yeah. This film's a lot. I want. There are. There's a lot of aspects that I really love. I especially love kind of the transformation that Fleora, that he goes on throughout the film.
Mm.
He is literally a kid at the start, and at the end, he looks like he's 60.
Yeah, because
Uh,
they gave him wrinkles.
yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Um, he like just goes through such a transformation, and I love how at the beginning he is like so excited to fight against the Germans with the resistance, and he's super eager, and he literally he gets he's at the resistance camp area, um, and he gets left behind, and he starts crying because he's not like getting to go into battle against them. Um, and like even when after he meets Glasha, I believe, even
Yeah.
after he meets her and they start heading back, or well, after he meets her, the camp is bombed by the Germans and paratroopers come down in one of man, it's like at the very start of the film, but like is it sort of comes out of nowhere, and just the like absolute magnitude of the destruction that occurs is like really intense. Um oh man, oof, so much I love about this film. It's like, and the thing is, like, even like despite that, like it's clear that both of them are still like kids essentially
Hmm.
who've been thrust into this conflict. Like they're even after or after like the bombing happens and they hide from the German forces, they on their way back to Flora's village, they're like messing around and like having fun. But all of that is underscored by this like haunting, like droning soundtrack that is just constantly present. Um, and it just like it gives that entire sequence such an ominous feel. Um, like
Yeah,
like
it's almost like the score, the music, like yeah, in a movie, you kind of have like the rising action and the falling action, and everything's just like raised a little bit
yeah,
because of the ever present music is always like you can never like relax ever.
yeah,
You're always on edge. You like if something awful is gonna happen. That's
yeah.
like at any time.
Um, I especially love there's consistently throughout the film there's um shots of like a spy plane essentially. I'm pretty sure what it is.
It's
Yeah.
just a,
That
I think
just
it's just a
it's
reconnaissance plane. Yeah.
yeah, that's just flying overhead. And you just like periodically throughout the film, you just like it shows up again, and it's just constantly present. Um,
I think even at one point in the beginning, there's like a shot kind of like from the spy plane's perspective
Yeah.
of him holding his gun. I think it might have been like right after he dug it up.
Yep.
Yeah, it is.
I remember. Yeah.
Um, yeah. Uh, I also I really love also how the film uses, I guess they're POV shots essentially. Um, or it often frames the characters in like a portrait, so you just look at them straight on. Um, it just like it's never. It's just like showing you like exactly what the character is thinking and feeling essentially
Mm.
whenever one comes up. Like you're just locked in, and you can't like look elsewhere in the shots because they just take up most of the screen. Um, and you're just forced to like see like their expression and how like miserable they are. um, yeah,
I want to talk about like the bog scene, the swamp
yeah,
scene, where this kid just had he's looking for his parent or his mom and his family. And he's running over because there's this island in the middle of the swamp, and you can see in the background that like they've like the entire village has been lined up and shot and mowed down,
yeah.
and then
There,
the girl that's with him sees it, and then what follows is like he's going through the swamp and he's walking and they're kind of crying and she's following it, and it just goes on like for like it just keeps on going, almost like it's another thing. It's you draw a comparison to again like this kind of slaughter massacre scene later on where you're gonna sit with it, like you come and
yeah,
see, you're gonna watch it happen,
yeah,
as it just goes on,
yeah. Um, I love that scene so much because like the entire time you are like once they like arrive back, there is just this overwhelming sense that like they're dead. Like
Mm.
even before you see the bodies, there is specifically in this house on the floor are the dolls that are just like laying there all in a row on the floor.
Mm.
Um, and like there's also and like around them you can see like there's flies flying around. And I think also Fleora at that point is sort of like realizing like they might be dead essentially.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, and I think, yeah, and again, our main character is like a child,
yeah,
so I think he kind of doesn't realize that the girl is a little older, and I guess you can kind of tell that she's kind of catching on to something that he isn't, even before they see the
yeah,
corpses.
yeah. Um, oh man, and then afterwards they escape to like the woods, or they go a like member of the like resistance effort essentially finds them, and he brings them back to where a bunch of people are now living. Because I assume because they escaped being killed by the Nazis. And he is just confronted with um the like town's like elder um guy who was he was at like the very beginning of the film and was telling them like to not dig up the gun. You're gonna like bring destruction on all of us. Um, and he is brought face to face with them, except all his entire body is like charred because the Germans set him on fire. Um, oh man, oof, oof.
Yeah, and I think back to that scene. Even before he sees the charred body, which is just awful. And he has all of these, the village elders, like the babushkas or whatever, and they're all like, crying like at him and like saying, "Oh yeah, we're so sorry," and all this stuff in Russian. And you can feel how like, and just in that moment, you're so overwhelmed because he's overwhelmed. Not
Yeah,
only because of all this emotion, he just has realized this thing, or that his entire family is dead, and
yeah,
now he has to walk through a village where all these old ladies are crying at him, and there's still a war going on, and now he has to look at this. It's like it, yeah, it's just like it's such like a sensory overload when you're
yeah.
seeing it.
Um,
It really stood out to me.
I also, um, what was I gonna, yeah, what I was gonna say. Um, um, oh man, the like, I don't know, Brendan,
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
say something.
what are your thoughts?
Hi. I like this film. Um, it's actually very interesting because I think I've interpreted this film differently than you all at some points. There's definitely so like you guys were talking about like the score, and how that's like present, but like after the
Mhm.
bombing, uh, the sound design changes significantly because a lot of this film is viewed from Fiora's
It's a
perspective, and he's
subjective
deaf.
experience.
Um,
You only view things like through his point of view. So like when the ringing in his ears comes back from the bombs, you hear that and so on.
yeah,
Mm.
I don't know. It doesn't. I don't think that really serves to like increase the tension, but more just
No, the point after that, he is or well, after that, like on the way back, like he is still partially like deaf, I guess,
oh yeah.
but it is like the score is just like rumbling underneath. Like it's subtle, but it feels like you're just kind of sitting with the aftermath and they're dealing with it in the only way they know how to. Like it's just like you have to sit with like the gravity of what just happened, basically.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like
okay. I personally I disagree, but like sure. Um, Mostly because immediately after the bombs, they bond. You know, they're more lighthearted. Like you have that scene of Galasha dancing and stuff, um, where they're like shaking the trees to
yeah,
shower. I think, but
like to me the point of it is like I guess like they specific like the the boy and the girl, they're like coping with what just happened in the only way they know how to, essentially, which is acting like kids,
Mm.
like just having fun and playing. But there is still like the sense to them, like there's still this like overwhelming like sense, or not sense. There's like the overwhelming like magnitude of what just happened. It feels like it's like just seething in the like it's simmering in the background, basically.
okay.
Mm.
Also, what do you think of the stork?
I
There's
was
a
okay. I
stork.
was trying to see if the stork would come up again, but it never
Hmm.
does, and it was a bit perplexing to me because it does seem
Yeah,
to be a symbol for innocence, I can't put my finger on how it relates.
Yeah,
I'd
I
have to watch
think
it again, but
that's the thing is I think that like routinely comes up is like animals being present in these like really horrible situations
yep,
and sort of that applying to our main character, and how they also don't really understand the gravity of what's happening or can't comprehend that.
definitely.
um and I think also I especially love like the difference in there's specific animals that are chosen that are very um interesting. So like we have the stork first, and then there's the cow who's killed by gunfire, and Fluora has to like he just like has to stay there with the cow for hours. Um, and then at the very end we get, I believe it's an Ii who's with the SS
Yeah,
captain, which I feel like, whereas like I actually I don't know if storks are like native to that area of uh Russia. I'm not sure if they're native to Belarus, but the II at least is like it's a very like foreign animal essentially. Like it shouldn't be there, basically. Um, it's just like it's like in it. It's sort of like similar to the Nazis, where it's like they're just in invading force, sort of,
Mm.
or like the II is at least, where it's like he really doesn't belong there, and he shouldn't be there. He shouldn't
Mm.
be present.
hmm
Um,
No, that makes sense.
one thing that I think this movie portrays very well is just the ruthlessness of the Germans
yeah.
during their offensive. Um, it's it's a lot. They do some fucked up shit, you know. But you very much get to see just uh, how little these acts are affecting the Germans, whereas the people like Fliora, it is, destroying them mentally.
Yeah.
Uh, he goes and like he tries to stop. He's like, "Hey, what are you all doing? They're just marching you to your death." And the people don't care, and the Germans know, and
Mm.
everybody knows. Um,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
is rough. There are lots of points that make it
Mm.
Yeah.
difficult.
I mean, it's like it's near like unwatchable. You know, one thing I thought kind of stood out to me was like a few things about that. What you were talking about is like there's the laughing, like the German soldiers would like just like laugh, ha ha, and the kind of German laughter, like a lot. Like so, not even that they're massacring these people and they see it as like a duty they have to do. Like they're having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like this is funny to them. That's like kind of raping and pillaging a village. Yeah.
Um, it's definitely the way it just like shows just like indifference, I guess.
Mm.
Like it feels like to the Nazis, it literally like they're doing it like they're I mean, with the laughing and everything, they're doing it for fun, but also like to them it feels like it doesn't matter. Like the lives of these people literally, I mean, they're massacring them, so of course they don't matter to them.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like just the overwhelming like sense that they just do not care is really well portrayed. I especially love the Germans come off as like they very much come off as like high class in the sense of like they are um from a very wealthy like society. There's the German like girl who's eating lobster in one of the trucks as like the barn is like burning with people inside. Um it's just like the the disconnect from them and from the people who are being killed is just so like immense essentially.
Mm.
Also, the Germans, like, their clothes are clean, their boots and stuff are all high quality. Where you look at the Soviets and they're in tatters.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe this is a little much of a stretch, but like it's it's almost like a Marxian thing where fascism is it's a product of these elites or of like capitalists or whatever, and the people on the receiving end who are defending it are literally like are serfs.
Yeah.
They're living in huts. They're digging guns out of the ground. And I think even when they're in the camp, when they're listening to the music, it's like the eternal fight against fascism. They're singing Russian, the People's War.
Yeah.
It's like it's the people, the working people versus lobster eating fascists.
Yeah. I think it's definitely the contrast, I guess, in stakes for the different sides, I think is really apparent. Like the Germans are clearly like there's literally no need for this at all,
Yeah,
Whereas the um on the Russian side, it's like they're literally fighting for like everything, essentially.
no,
Um,
you're right.
man,
Yeah.
uh,
Um,
yeah,
yeah, if I think that there one last scene I want to talk about is the so I think it is the final scene
Oh, when he kills
of
Hitler,
him
or he
of
fails to kill Hitler.
when he when he kills Hitler.
yeah. When he starts shooting the painting,
Yeah, which is I think if I'm not mistaken, like the only time he
Yes.
shoots the gun
He's
yeah,
given Chekhov's
is
gun, and he
yeah
finally fires it at the very end.
yeah
yeah. Um, it's a very interesting scene. Um, to me, it's sort of like I guess the point that was being made by it to me was that like ultimately well firstly that there is like this like hatred that is built up against Hitler and the Nazis, and you like feel that hate, like you completely understand it, this desire to just exterminate the Nazis essentially. um but the other thing that I think that it brings up is that it doesn't change anything.
Mm.
Like it still happened, and Hitler being killed ultimately doesn't matter to the millions of people who were massacred,
Mm.
you know. But I think, I mean, also there's like um there's also definitely him stopping when he sees the portrait of him as a child also um is sort of like it feels like it's also trying to say like or it's like I think asking like the lengths that one should go to stop something like this, if that makes sense.
Mm.
I mean, it's really just answering the eternal question
Yeah,
of would you kill baby Hitler, and Fliora would not kill baby Hitler.
Question of the week, right there.
But I think it definitely once you get to that child, there's pure innocence there. That child has not done anything wrong. We're going back through time and we're seeing, Hitler's military actions, air raids, the all the offenses, all the bad things he's done. Starting with the with the Jews and their discrimination. But when you get to the point where he hasn't done anything wrong, there is that innocence there, and I think Fliora recognizes that innocence in his past self as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's it's contrasted with, again, he's like covered in wrinkles,
Yeah.
like he's like what he's like while he's shooting at the the portrait, it's kind of taking us back in time, and we're looking back, and but in the real world he's what he see, all the way back to the childlike innocence of baby Hitler, but here out in the real world he's like aged so much for a kid his age. He's like it's fast, like his life has been fast forwarded to that of an old man because of all this awful things that he's seen that he can't like unsee or can't unexperience.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really powerful. Like almost like as if he was like him shooting the portrait is like trying to take it back, almost.
Yeah.
Like undo it, or yeah.
I think that's also like right before he shoots the portrait. There's like probably one of the most like striking shots in the film where you have a close up of Fliora, and then in the background you see like a kid who's dressed up exactly like he was at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
He's like the new recruit, and just like that contrast of both of them, but also like the realization that like it like inevitably, or this is like inevitably what happens to these people when, or to these children when they are made to fight a war.
Yeah.
Oh.
How long have we been talking for?
I don't know. There's actually gonna be a little pause in the recording because they ran into some technical issues. But hopefully that won't be too much. It's been a while though. We're almost at 2 hours.
Okay, maybe it's time to wrap it up.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I give this movie 10 out of 10. Watch it. It's really good. Like.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly. It's one of the most like horrifying films ever made, I think. It's a lot to handle. It's just like, oh man. I don't think there is a better film that just shows how horrible a war is and how like horribly it affects those who are like put into it or thrust into it. Yeah, it's a 10 out of 10 movie.
Yep. This movie is a 10 out of 10. There's a lot of great aspects of the film. Definitely for me, I think the highlight is just like the realism of it, though, and the realism of this war being present to you, because a lot of it puts the viewer in Fliora's perspective, and it's just how awful literally everything is. It's pretty intense.
Yeah, I'm actually, if I remember correctly, I don't this might be me remembering something from a Reddit comment, so take it with a grain of salt. But when this was like screened, I think Elem Klimov, there was someone in the audience who was part of like the SS who saw this movie and was like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Like that, literally, that's what happened. So yeah.
Yeah.
There also, I also want to mention, there was like throughout shooting, he was like really concerned with putting this kid through what he was. They had like the doctors on set or on like the shoot to make sure he didn't go insane or mad or anything because of like what he was putting him through. So
That's, I mean, that's dedication.
yeah,
I hope that kid's alright.
he is, to my knowledge. He has like an acting
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
So
Oh, really?
he
Oh,
turned out,
hey, he deserves it. He was incredible.
yeah.
His performance.
This is the best child performance I've ever seen.
Oh,
I have to say.
but like by far,
Yeah.
it doesn't even like I think I didn't even think about it really while I was watching it. Like he was just like he was another good actor. You know, not even like a good child actor, but it was just like on par with something else. Like it's just on par with everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
All right.
ready to
Well,
go. I'm ready to go to bed, man.
yeah, that's it for this episode of Bangers, Bops, and Banter. Next week, uh, question of the week is gonna be what in your opinion is the best album cover of all time?
Yeah.
And we got other choices for the movie and
For the
uh
album is gonna
oh,
be Gasanova by Young Gravy. Young Gravy's 2020
that's not what I
album.
was expecting, but
It
okay.
has a little bit of a lane shift at the end there. And the movie is going to be Vampire's Kiss, directed by Robert Bierman. Classic Nick Cage performance. This is going to be exciting, for me at least.
I am excited. This will be, good change in tone.
Yes.
Good switch,
Glad
up.
not to be doing depressing stuff again.
Um, yeah, hopefully Vampire's Kiss won't make me cry. So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's it. Anything
Yeah.
else you want to say, Jonah, our esteemed guest, before we end?
Um, I just want to say thanks for listening,
Wow.
and thanks for having me on the show again.